Derek Sheridan from Rust Belt Basketball Coaches Network and Basketball Nexus website. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. We are so lucky to have Coach Zach Moss, the head men's basketball coach at St. Thomas University from the great state of Florida. I know it's a dirty job, but someone has to do it to live and coach basketball at the university level in Florida. But I think Zach Moss can handle that task. So, Coach, thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you. How are you?
Doing well. I've enjoyed following you so far this season, and my goodness, what a early season schedule the Bobcats have had.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We've had a difficult schedule, but we like to schedule adversity. We're not trying to chase wins, so we try to set ourselves up to be challenged so we can have a good second half of the season.
Well, you have certainly done that. The likes of Indiana Wesleyan and Marian are two perennial NAIA powerhouses, and that league, the old MCC, now the Crossroads League, is just a grinder, as is the Sun Conference.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
One of the few things Indiana and Florida have in common is great NAIA basketball.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, the Crossroads is historically one of the better conferences, and the Sun Conference, I've been fortunate to be in this conference for 12 years, and it's gotten better every year. We've had, our depth. We've always had top power guys, teams that have been really good, whether it was Embry-Riddle before they left the conference, Northwood when they were with Raleigh Massimino, now they're Kaiser, have always historically been good, Southeastern, Ave Maria has always been good. So it's the conference, Florida Memorial, us. It's a very deep conference more than ever before.
The amount of good coaches in both of those conferences ranks up, and I don't care if we're talking NCAA basketball or whatever, the amount of good coaches in both of those leagues, it's really worth noting. As you said, Raleigh Massimino from Northwood, Dennis Hobson being his assistant coach. My goodness, what a duo there.
Yes, sir.
Steve Platt from Huntington, Paul Patterson from Taylor. You could go right down the list. Just great basketball.
And then you look at the guys on our conference like RJ Barsh, who's at Gonzaga, coach of Southeastern, and then Pat Crary, who's at Grambling now, is one of the rising, head coaches in the game. Our conferences produce really, really good coaches
and good players.
Absolutely. Yep.
It's got to be tough recruiting to the great state of Florida. I would imagine that's an impossible task. That would rank up there with trying to get a kid to go to Wyoming.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I know. No, it's a little hard to get them to come down to Miami, where it's 80 degrees outside and blue skies right now.
Yeah, exactly. My wife and I were watching Chaminade versus Washington State last night, and the announcers just kept saying stuff over and over like, it's unbelievable to me that an NCAA Division II program can get a kid. And we're like, yeah, it's got to be terrible recruiting a kid to Hawaii.
Yeah.
It's just got to be a terrible task.
It's not a great life to be a college athlete in Hawaii.
Yeah, oh, my gosh, exactly. Well, Coach, I've been waiting to ask you this question. Give me your take on what it was like playing Indiana Wesleyan and Marian. If you're looking for an easy and affordable way to purchase all of your sporting good needs, look no further than Game One, located in Swanton, Ohio. I've worked with LJ Archambault for 20 years, and I have never worked with a more honest, punctual, and detail-oriented sporting goods salesman. I coached for nearly 3 decades and in 2 different states, and have never worked with a better organization than Game One, and more importantly, a better person than LJ Archambault. It's always game on at Game One.
For us, we wanted to play really good teams. We wanted to play traditional, blue blood teams in the NAI. Indiana Wesleyan played them last year. They're like the barometer. They've always been just an elite team. And so for me personally as a coach, and then for the program and for our players, it was like, how do we, measure up to them? And then for Marian, they're a very, really well-coached team. They know what to do. And so to be able to play them on the back end, it's just you're basically setting yourselves up for like 2 really good conference games. And obviously, we had a couple guys out, had a guy out, get hurt 45 minutes before the game. So kind of threw some stuff up against Indiana Wesleyan. Probably wouldn't have changed the outcome. But to deal with what we dealt with against Indiana Wesleyan, and then to be able to bounce back, play a tough game, and then win a game at the end, it was a really good experience for our guys, and just show, hey, this is what we can do, and this is how we respond. And when you play tough teams on the road, they're hard to, you're scheduling adversity. So if you can pull together and respond and stay connected no matter what you're going through, highs or lows, that really says a lot about your team and what you can do in January and February and March.
Right. I got to ask you, did you hear any good one-liners from Pat Knight?
No, no, not at all. I think I was questioning if someone had gotten like they had called it on the right foul, so they went to the instant replay. And him and I had a great conversation before the game. So after during that, he's like, "Oh no, he probably got it right. He's a good guy." But outside of that, I mean, he's a really good coach. He handles his program very well. I mean, they were well prepared for us. They gave us everything we could handle and got lucky to beat them.
I sat across from Patrick when we were in ninth grade at five-star basketball camp in Radford, Pennsylvania, and that's how I got to know him.
That's awesome.
He is a good guy.
Good old five-star basketball. That's a,
Oh yeah,
in the past.
you don't love playing basketball. Well, I don't know what it's like now. It's probably the same, but back then it was 6 a.m. till sundown.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you have next, Coach?
Life, which is their top 10. I think the rankings come out today. They're undefeated. I don't want to say they're better than Indiana Wesleyan, but they're going to be one of the better teams that we played. They're really, really well coached. Coach Easley's an elite coach. They can kill you from a different bunch of ways, and they play connected. So it's going to be a very, very good challenge for us. We have to, lost a couple conference games, got to rebound, respond, and then we play them at 4:15 on Saturday and turn around and play Johnson, who is a perennial, national tournament team. They've struggled a little bit this year playing very similar to us, playing a lot of tough games. So it's going to be another fun packed weekend. It's at the show that's run by Ken French. The show's one of the best, tournaments for NAIA basketball. So there's going to be a lot of really good, strong NAIA teams there. So, if we can play well and represent ourselves well, it helps us, going forward.
So you're going to be in Oakland City, Indiana?
No, this is actually held at Kingsport, Tennessee.
Oh, okay. Okay. Because Ken French is a good guy. He's a
yes,
coach.
Amazing. Yeah. Elite, a great coach, but amazing person.
Yes.
And he puts this tournament on every year. It is traditionally the best tournament in NAIA. So we were lucky to play in it last year. Grateful to get an invitation this year. And so, and he asked us who we wanted to play, and I wanted to play two of the better teams there. And we got live with Coach Easley right away. So it's going to be a fun battle.
Brad Morrison and Danny's Cafe, located in beautiful Rossford, Ohio. Danny's Cafe is the ultimate spot for a family-friendly breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or a night out with friends to watch your favorite high school, college, or pro team. Danny's Cafe offers an incredible food experience for people with varying types of palates, and the service is fast and provided by the most hospitable staff in Northwest Ohio. The next time you're on the hunt for a place to grab a bite or cheer on your favorite team, head to Danny's Cafe, located directly across the street from Rossford High School. We've had Coach French on one of our broadcasts, and what a great guy.
Yes, absolutely.
The life, it's Johnson.
In Tennessee.
Yeah, and the school in Branson, Missouri.
Oh, is that not Ozark? Who is it? They used to host a national tournament.
Yeah, that was College at the Ozarks, right? Those teams always seem like they're in the NAIA Sweet 16.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. And that's kind of why I wanted the schedule, and when I made this, we had our full roster and we made this schedule this summer, it was to challenge ourselves on the road, a lot of back-to-backs, a lot of adversity so we can handle ourselves when we need to.
Most certainly accomplish that mission. Well, Coach, tell us about your journey into becoming the head coach of the St. Thomas Bobcats.
So I've been an NAIA coach going into my 12th or 13th year, I forget, but I was at 12th. I was at Ave Maria in our conference for 12 years, or for 7 years as the associate head coach. And then when Pat Crary got the job here at St. Thomas, I left and then went and took here, and I was his assistant for 3 years. And then when he left 2 years to go to Florida A&M, I was very fortunate to get this job here. And then I was a high school coach in the Naples, Florida area for about 5-6 years prior to that. So I've always been a South Florida guy, high school and college.
What's high school basketball like in South Florida?
Very interesting. You get a lot of guys that, might be at 4 different schools in 4 years.
Oh, gosh.
certain schools that are your traditional powerhouse. It's very, very competitive. There's a lot of really good coaches. And it just depends on the part of South Florida, like this part of Florida, Dade, Broward, Palm Beach County, you have a really high level athletes, solid coaches. On the West Coast, you get a lot of shooters, coaches that kind of are able to game plan and steal points. You know, the whole state of Florida is very talented. I always say it's a underrated basketball state, especially when you look at the small college level and how
Hmm.
many small colleges and JUCOs perform at an elite level on top of, having your Floridas, your FAUs that have made the Final Four, the Miamis. Like college basketball in our state of Florida is very, very good, and that starts with our high school ranks.
College basketball from small school all the way up to major NCAA Division One is outstanding. How many years in a row was Florida, the Gators, ranked as the most efficient athletic program in
Absolutely.
NCAA Division One? And that,
Yep.
that encompasses all sports, even the
Mhm.
non-revenue sports. Florida has that reputation for sure. I have a little bit of an idea of what high school basketball is like on the Atlantic side of Florida, but I
Mhm.
haven't had any experience with basketball coaches on the Pacific side. What's
Yeah,
your
so yeah, the West Coast, yeah, and the golf, like I'm an 80s baby. I grew up in the 90s, so we had like Ted Dupay. We were shooting 33s a game before. And then if you look at like Luke Laux, who's at Florida State, he's a Clearwater kid. The Gulf Coast side, the West Coast of Florida, it's shoot a lot of threes, space you out. It's high level of coaching. You have athletic ability, maybe not as much as the East Coast, but the skill set. And I always say Naples is the capital of Ohio. Like all my friends came from Ohio, so you do get a little more Midwestern feel on the West Coast of Florida. And then when you get to the central part of the state, that the coaching there and the talent just at the blend of both, like the diversity and the amount of talent and just kind of specializations you get in certain areas of Florida is pretty cool to see. But you get talent and well coached kids all over the place.
That was the answer I was expecting to hear. Tell us about your roster.
I really like our roster. So right now with the guys that are playing, we have a sophomore point guard, Adrian Cruz, is doing a really good job for us this year. And then we have another sophomore who came in this year, Caleb Myers. Those two guys have been really leading the way. Our two captains and Esteban Luberes, who's our three-point shooter, and Colin Nutter, who's like our stretch four, been playing well. And then, we've had guys out. Jalen Gilmore, who will be back in the spring, for a second half of the year. And then Blake Neverdon, who started a few games for us, was Conference Player of the Week, and then he broke his hand. He'll be back in the beginning of January as well. And so, we'll help with those guys. We'll have more of a complete roster. And then we got guys that are trying to, do the best they can, filling in the roles they didn't expect to have. But right now, we're kind of relying on our top five. They're playing heavy minutes, just kind of surviving as much as we can until we get back our full roster. I do expect Jalen to perform at a high level for us when he's here. And then Blake, he scored in double digits. He's a 40% three-point shooter from JUCO. I had 30 already for a game, a 3-and-D guy. So not having him in conference play has really impacted us. So excited when we get, I love how our guys are performing now with how much diversity with the schedule and the guys that have been in and out of the lineup, but excited to see what we look like when we're, at full strength.
Do you mainly recruit from your home state?
No, we recruit all over. So we're lucky. We do have kids from like the South Florida area. Esteban's from Riviera Prep. We have Noah Tovar, Calvary Christian, Adrian Cruz, Sagemont, Caleb Myers came from Miami Prep. Caleb is actually Nicaraguan, played for their FIBA national team. He came from JUCO. We have guys from France, Israel, Croatia on the roster. We have Colin Nutter, who I talked about, is from Ohio. Blake is from Baltimore. So we have a mix of Florida kids. And then St. Thomas is a national school, even though we're small, we're a small college. So, and we've always recruited at a national level. So we're national, international, and the state of Florida. A good blend of everything. And that's a big credit to our associate head coach, Jacob Shaw, who's in charge of all recruiting. He's done a really good job. I mean, he's already a name in South Florida, but from the JUCO ranks, the prep ranks, international ranks, he has really, really helped us as far as upgrading our roster.
Brad Morrison and Danny's Cafe, located in beautiful Rossford, Ohio. Danny's Cafe is the ultimate spot for a family-friendly breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or a night out with friends to watch your favorite high school, college, or pro team. Danny's Cafe offers an incredible food experience for people with varying types of palates, and the service is fast and provided by the most hospitable staff in Northwest Ohio. The next time you're on the hunt for a place to grab a bite or cheer on your favorite team, head to Danny's Cafe, located directly across the street from Rossford High School. Colin Nutter, how did you
Yep.
land him? He's a
So
hell of a
Colin
player.
was a grad transfer from Siena Heights. Colin's a genius. So he had graduated college in 2 years. So he's actually
Okay.
been 2 years for us as a grad transfer. And he was looking, it's all, we're all in the portal, or not, NAIA doesn't have a portal, but we're all looking for transfers.
Mhm.
Came across his information, and then he came down for a workout. Just love everything about him, how he works, his approach. He comes from a really good family, and just kind of fit what we're trying to do here. And he was one of the first guys I had signed as when I took the job over. So we've been lucky to have him, and he's grown tremendously, and a guy who was kind of in the background to a guy that I'm asking and demanding him to be a leader and be more vocal. And so he's just been a pleasure to have in the program.
Yeah, he had a great high school career.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. And he had a really solid career at Siena Heights. Now we've asked him, we've turned him into a little bit more of a shooter because we've had Caleb in to balance him out. But yeah, he's a very good player.
Well, I'm glad you ended up getting him. I didn't know that. I thought he was still at Heights.
No, yeah, he transferred. Luckily, gratefully transferred to us.
Yeah,
Grateful that
good.
he did that.
That was a good grab.
Yes, sir. Yeah, Colin's been really good for us.
But tell us about your schedule. Who you got coming up? I know we've talked about who you've got coming up in the show, but looking down the road, who are some teams that you're going to face that are notable?
So we will face Suno. After this, we go to the Virgin Islands and we'll play in an HBCU tournament, and then we'll face Suno from there. And then we go to Ohio and we have a chance to play a couple really tough NAIA teams. And then our second home game of the year will be December 31st. We play College of Ozarks, and then we start right away with conference play with Coastal Georgia, who they've always been well coached. They have a new coach this year, and the talent, they're just very tough. So we don't have any like quote unquote easy wins or easy games. It does not get any easier with our schedule from who we might play in the HBCU tournaments from who we'll play in Ohio.
Who are you playing in Ohio?
We are playing St. Francis, and then I don't know who we play in the second game.
What city is St. Francis in?
So they're in Illinois, I believe, and then we're playing in the John Wooden Classic, which is in
in
Xenia,
Xenia.
Ohio.
Yeah, in Xenia.
And then, yeah, so University of St. Francis from Illinois. So we're playing them, and I'm not sure who we play in the second game. Depends on who wins that game. So it's a really good tournament. Like there's Georgia Gwinnett with Coach Techman is in it. Like it's a really good tournament. Like that's why we like from the show, obviously the Montana trip, the Indiana trip, and the HBCU trip that we're taking, and then this tournament, we've trying to play ourselves in front of as many tough NAIA schools as we possibly can.
What date did you say you will be in Xenia?
We'll be in there December. We're there for practice on December 15th, and then we play St. Francis on December 16th, and then our second game will be December 17th. And they'll have games all day.
Mm-hmm. The bicycle capital of the world, Xenia,
Really?
Ohio. I think
Very
they make
cool.
Huffy bicycles there.
Okay, excellent.
Well, Coach, tell us a little bit about what the Bobcats do offensively.
We're connected. We're a connected group. We're trying to, space you out, be able to play a lot of two-man. Our initial stuff is a lot of split action to two-man, and then just make reads and try to share the ball and play together as much as we can. We try to say some of our, we have good individuals, but when we're connected, we're a really good group. And that's kind of how we approach everything is, we'll run a lot of different stuff, a lot of different actions, but at the end of the day, it's all about us playing with spacing, low touch time, and making kind of reads on time.
Kind of like a 4-out, 1-in, a wide version of a 4-out, 1-in.
Yep. And then we'll run some 5-out as well.
When you're 4-out, 1-in, do you have one player who predominantly plays as your post player, or do you have him back screen and switch out?
We run a lot of Princeton stuff, but we'll also put a variety of guys in that space.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll do traditional where you have your big, but we'll also put our guards in there because of, with people like Colin, when you have bigs that can shoot the ball, having a point guard or a guard in the pinch, or in the point action,
Hmm.
can make a lot of inside out threes. So it's kind of a balance of that.
How about defensively?
We're a man-to-man team, though we'll run some exotic stuff where we throw some zone and go to man. We try to take away what you do at a high level, and if we can limit that, it's kind of our biggest thing is trying to limit what you do at a high level and force you to do something else, and then make a counter from there.
In your man-to-man defense, is it gapping or pack line, or
Yeah,
are you
it's
playing the old up the line,
yes,
on the line?
yeah, a little bit pack line, a little gap.
Hmm.
We're trying to now that you're in season though, you go a little more personnel based,
Hmm.
depending on who you are. And then we have some other, tendencies that we try to do with peel and switch, things like that.
Hmm.
But traditionally, gap, pack line, ball pressure, and then kind of keep them out of the middle.
What kind of zones do you play?
3-2,
Okay.
a lot of 3-2.
That's a great combination with pack line.
Yeah, it kind of fits each other perfectly.
Exactly.
Yep.
Well, Coach, looking at your postseason, tell us a little bit about what you envision your postseason being like.
We want to be obviously you trying to win the conference, losing the first three games puts you in a bad spot, even though we've won the regular season conference a couple years ago doing the exact same thing. But we want to be in a position where we're playing for our conference tournament for us. St. Thomas, like you want to win at the national level, but it's winning the conference tournament. Like this Sun Conference is so hard to win. So, and I feel like if we can put our position self in a position to be top four, top three in the conference, get ourselves we're playing on the championship day for the conference with an opportunity for a championship that puts us an opportunity to get into the national tournament with just the reputation of our conference, with how we've scheduled, with how many road games and non-home games we've scheduled. We're trying to put ourselves in a position where we can get an at-large bid, but obviously we got to perform a lot better inside a conference and win some of these closer games. But yeah, the focus is get ourselves an opportunity to be able to play Friday night in the semifinal for the conference tournament, win that game, and then you're in the championship game and anything can happen. And then from there, you're in a position to be in the national tournament. And, it's you're one hot weekend away from being in Kansas City, and then you never know what happens from there.
Tell us about the NAIA search committee. Is it similar to the NCAA as they will evaluate similar aspects of your season? Do they evaluate the same types of things that the NCAA's tournament search committee evaluates when looking
Yes.
for their teams?
Yeah, every conference has a rater and they meet. And so they're usually the guys that are pushing for their conferences, and then they're the ones that have a big decision on like who makes it. There's obviously a committee, but the raters have a big influence on what goes on. So like part of why we've done the schedule, playing in front of the show, playing in the show, playing in Ohio, you're playing in front of other raters. And then there's metrics that they use like RPI, a strength of schedule, things like that they use to evaluate you, and so you're kind of hoping that you have all that, and then you got to be playing well at the right time. How we finish down the stretch, how we do the second half of the season when we have everyone healthy, and then what we do in the conference tournament ultimately decide, if we're good enough to make it or not. So they give you a good enough. I feel like they're very fair. I feel like the guys in the NAI, especially our Raiders, I know our Raider personally, like he does a tremendous job. I know Raiders in other areas, they do a tremendous job. These guys, we all care about getting it right and care about this so much. So, for us, it's just handling business and doing what we're supposed to, and then being able to win a few of these games and put us in a position to, have a resume that's strong enough. But ultimately, I don't want to put in their hands. I want to win the conference tournament and get that automatic bid.
Sure. Did you ever have a chance as an assistant coach or as a head coach to play? The name just slipped my mind, but the coach for the university out in Idaho that won it, I believe, last
No,
champion.
I have not. Our previous head coach, I believe, has played him, but I have not had an opportunity to play
What's the
yet.
name of that school?
Is it College of Idaho, I believe, that won it?
Yeah.
And Cody Blaine, I believe is his
Hmm.
name. Yep, they do a tremendous job. I mean, NAI is just full of so many good. Like you look at Chris Wright at Langston,
Hmm.
Indiana West. Like there's just Chase Techman is like barely starting at Georgia Gwinnett, and you look at Georgia Gwinnett's. You look at our conference with Jamin Copeland, Chief Bryant at Kaiser. Even Hudson Wiley at Southeastern. It's his second year as a head coach, and you look at what he's doing, and the list goes on and on. And then you start looking at the Division One ranks, the NBA ranks. The amount of coaches that come from the NEI is just it's very impressive.
I played NAIA basketball a million years ago. It was an offensive league. Now, we did sit down and guard, but the amount of shooters, they could just shoot the snot out of it. The amount of 1,000 point scores we had on our roster was impressive. That was the thing about NAIA that stuck out to me the fastest after my first season, was just the amount of kids who can just flat shoot it. For an athlete, few things are worse than having to compete on a slick surface. Well, my friends Tom Rose and Matt Olin have solved this conundrum by creating Grip Sprints. Grip Sprints offers a wide array of shoe-to-court traction products that are not only highly effective, but also affordable, easy to use, and easy to transport. It's no wonder Grip Sprints has become the official traction solution for the Ohio High School Basketball Coaches Association and the National High School Basketball Coaches Association. Take it from me, if the OHSBCA and the NHSBCA are making Grip Sprints their official court cleaning product, Grip Sprint simply has to be the best on the market.
Yeah, no, and now you look at it like, if you look at Anthony Roy at Oklahoma State, he's leading the country in scoring, came from Langston. There's a guy, I believe, is at Arizona State, who comes off the bench, and he came from an NAI. If you look at Riley Minix, won the OVC Player of the Year, and he was a Southeastern transfer from our conference. Milton Matthews, who came from St. Thomas, helped FAMU last year in one of their better seasons. So it's, before, it's kind of changed the last couple of years with all these rules. Before, we used to get all these guys that couldn't go back, and now it's like we're a perfect recruiting ground for Division Ones, because they know if you can score at our level and if you can produce at the NAI level, like, it's amazing how many guys instantly produce at the Division One level.
Exactly, and the player's name just slipped my mind. He plays for the University of Illinois Fighting Illini, and he transferred from Huntington College, where I played, and now he's starting for the University of Illinois.
Yeah, Colorado has a big man that, like, the same, like, there's so many schools that are like that it just, and it's hard for high school kids, because now it's like these Division Ones would rather just come steal our guys, give them NIL money, and they know they're going to produce.
Yes, that's a great point. There aren't many programs who I know of that are still focused on high school players.
Yeah, especially at the high level. Those guys have to produce on a year. They have to win every year. It's a different, it's such a business. It's like, it's hard. I think small colleges will go back to more traditional, just the way, because so many of our guys are getting plucked. But I think at the high level, especially now that you're giving money to everyone, you have to win. It is a professional sport more than ever.
Yes. Now at St. Thomas, are you guys involved with NIL?
We're all trying to do a little something, but not like, it's nothing major. It's nothing, but like, there are schools that are trying to be proactive. We're trying to be proactive. It's just, it is a little different ball game. In Miami, it's a little different ball game, and there's levels to this. There's Division Ones in Miami that don't have a strong NIL. So there are certain levels to this, and it depends on the school and the area that you're at. But, me personally as a coach, yes, I'm trying to do everything to be proactive, obviously trying to get success on the court and build successes first and foremost, but trying to get guys that we can keep in the program long term, that we don't get poached, that things like that. Yeah, we're doing things actively to build relationship in the community, do things, the right way. That is what we need to do, but be able to give our guys a situation where we can kind of, hopefully in the near future, be able to financially help guys, kind of like what you have at the higher level. It's just, especially at the small college level, with so many small colleges that are shutting down, St. Thomas is thriving. And right now it's more like, let's just thrive and continue to build, and then make an adjustment once especially for our men's basketball side, like, we got to build a couple years of success and get going. And then I know all that stuff will kind of fall into place.
The amount of private Catholic colleges, the smaller ones across the Midwest, that are closing is heartbreaking. We lost Cardinal Stritch, 2 years ago? That's a tough pill to swallow. The player's name is Humrick House.
Okay.
Who starts for the Fighting Illini, who transferred from Huntington. If you have your crystal ball in your right hand, who do you see being in the Final Four?
Ooh, that's tough. I'm going to be biased because of our schedule and say, I think life is really tough. I think they're really well positioned to get there. I think Langston, if you watch how much adversity they have dealt with this year, that they're in a good spot. I think you have your traditional schools like Grace is there. And I think you're going to see an up and coming. Like I would not be surprised, like with how, like if you look at Ave Maria, and I'm biased here because Coach Copeland hired me, first guy that got me into this business, and I coach at Ave. But if you look at the kids they have, the way they're bought in, and they're a traditional college team that has been built of multiple guys. I could see them with the way the style that they play, making a run. But it's, we had, I think with when you include Indiana Wesleyan losing to Taylor, the top five teams have lost 6 or 7 times this year already. So there is a lot of parity where you could see a team get hot in the conference tournament and then make it all the way to Kansas City and knock off a couple, perennial guys that now then you open the door for anyone.
Very good. Coach, thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely.
It was really fun talking
Yes,
with you.
sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Well, I hope you have the best season of your career.
Appreciate that.
And thank you so much. And if there's ever anything we can do for you, don't hesitate to reach out.
Same here. Same here. You ever in Florida, you ever want to come down during the cold time, we can help you out. And then if you go to the tournament in Ohio, please let me know. Would love to connect with you.
Oh, absolutely. All right, Coach. Hey, have a great Thanksgiving and thank you again.
Yes, sir.